Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. This week we'll be reviewing and going through The Scorpion from Ann Rule Studios, and that was done in 93. But before that, I want to show you some of my other artwork that you might be interested in helping to support the channel. Every month I produce a full-size, full-color, 12-page comic book for my patrons, and also on my website. Like I said, it's 12 pages of full size, full color. And every month, my patrons pay $2 and they get a full size comic book. So if you're ever inclined to help to support both the channel and my comics, this is some of the things that you'd get. I have, it's called Random Access. And I also, on my website, I have other stuff. I have Mutandis, which I also do. And my website is alexanderturbin.com. And like I said, it has all of the random accesses, Mutandises, all kinds of different stuff that I've published, excuse me, over the course of my comic book creating career. This is the newest issue of Random Access that's going out this month. It's a crossover of sorts with a character called Sorara. And she is created by Matt Shea, and he did the cover, and also Jake Quirk did the colors for the cover. So, and at the in the back of the comic is a indie comics creators highlight, which every issue I have a new indie comics creator that I kind of promote and help to show their stuff. And that's Matt Shea, who, like I said, did the cover and is the creator of Sawyer. Matt Shea, help me here. Anyway, so that's Random Access. And like I said, if you'd like to contact me at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin or alexanderturbin.com, which is my website, or alexturbin04401 at Instagram. So let's get into The Scorpion. So The Scorpion is, I don't know if it's a power comic, but it's definitely straddles the line of power comicdom. And it's was done at the same time that a lot of other comics from Maine were produced, and it was mostly done by the writer who got the ball rolling and kind of created. I don't know if he created the character or yeah, I guess he created the character, and then he got an artist to go in and do the art for him. And so it was created and written by James McNaughton, who was the writer of Lance Stanton and some of the other power comics out there that a lot of you might know. He did work with his own publishing company. I was Hammock Publishing, and this was actually done by Polly Ventura, the company that screwed me and my partners with Mutandis #3. They supposedly published it, and we got one complimentary copy, and they just ghosted us. Whenever we tried to contact them, they just avoided us at all costs. I even had my girlfriend at the time call to see if that might entice them into picking up the phone, and they picked up the phone, and as soon as she handed it to me, they hung up. So whatever happened with Polly Ventura is that they kind of screwed us over. It would have been fine if they had talked to us and been like, we didn't sell many copies, and we were just trying to recoup our initial investment, or we could have talked about it, and it would have been totally cool. Maybe they could have given us a couple more copies or whatever. That would have been awesome. But to work in this industry and to just be ghosted like that is just really kind of sucks. I mean, people understand stuff that happens. So anyway, I digress. I'm going to stop digressing. So it was written by James McNaughton, and he created it. And the pencils were by Matthew Sylvester, and the inks by Matthew Sylvester and Lynn Verazzoni, and the letters by Eric Norden. the logo design was Shannon Hamilton, which the logo is pretty cool. I don't know if this is considered part of the logo, but it's pretty cool. And it's Ann Rule Studios, but it's uh, published by Polly Ventura. So I guess it's kind of their a two companies that kind of did work together, I guess. So it's in Portland, Maine, which is 2.5 hours from me. And in his little letters page, he talks about handing off free copies to, or zero. I guess they weren't free. He was selling them of Scorpion Zero at this comic book convention in Portland, which at the same the center that I went to my first comic book convention. So that was pretty cool that he may have been there at the same time. Actually, this is 93, and I think I went to it earlier. Maybe 89, 88, 89, 90, something like that. Maybe probably 90 actually, because I graduated in 92. So anyway, that's the backstory of the book, and it's Jim McNaughton who's done a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't know if this is a power comic. So anybody that thinks it is or isn't can kind of chime in and let me know and see what everybody thinks about what a power comic is, because it's really kind of ethereal as to what a power comic really is, and it's up to each person's own subjectiveness, I guess, because one person could say it's a power comic and the other person could not. I personally do not think it is, because there's too many people working on it in a publication fashion, and the artist, he's just kind of too good. There are certain times when it's very powerish, but then there's also times where it's very competent in the artwork, and I think the competency maybe overshadows the powerness, and so I personally don't think it is. But it straddles the line, definitely. So the story is it's in the Old West, and there's this guy on a horse, and he's got this other guy who's been attacked by wolves, and they go into the desert, or they're in the desert or whatever, Northwest desert, and they come across this cave, and there's a medicine man in there, and they get the medicine man to try to cure him from his illnesses, and during his curing of his illnesses, he imbues him with the power of the scorpion god. I can't remember where his name is, and so the scorpion god excuse me, takes control of his body, and they become the scorpion. So years later, that's basically the prologue and the origin of the scorpion. So years later, there's a back alleyway on the where is Portland? It takes place in the Old Port in Portland, Maine, and I'm pretty sure at the time, like now, it's like all yuppies, and like there's concert halls and like people do beer crawls along the Old Port, and it's really kind of trendy, and I'm pretty sure it's always been that way. So to have like thugs in a back alleyway ready to attack this nurse who has her little nurse's hat on is pretty funny. Like the back alleyways of dirty old Portland, and which is just kind of, it never really was. Like you can think of that in New York City or parts of New York where it really is kind of crappy like that. But Portland, especially in the Old Port area, is just like, it's really nice. Anyway, so you got these punks gonna attack this nurse, and the writing, I really kind of like Jim's writing. He puts these little details in that kind of, it's like how they say the details are in the devil is in the details, as far as telling a lie. It's also devil is in the details as far as story construction and plot construction and dialogue and all that stuff, because you want these little tiny details just to give things life in the story. So I really enjoyed his writing in this. So anyway, and like I said, the art is almost power. Like you've got, I really like this panel here, but it's a little bit almost powers. I think the inking lends itself to the power, but then there's also parts where his anatomy and stuff is really great, and maybe not so much at the anatomy, but the structure of the characters interacting and stuff like that. So these two punks are gonna go after this nurse, and the Scorpion jumps in, and this reads a lot like a Spawn. I think Jim was trying to create Spawn 2, only it's the Scorpion instead of Spawn, because he's got little quips that are almost Spider-Man-ish, but a little bit, but he's darker than Spider-Man. So it's, I mean, he really kind of even looks like Spawn. But see, like here's a really great panel where the characters are interacting, and I don't think this is like a power type thing at all. But then you have something like this, which isn't power, but it's definitely taken out of a Spawn type thing. And here's a great, he's kicking him, he's got some really great foreshortening and nice action. So I'm thinking it's not power, it's just an artist trying to find his way, and some panels are really great and some panels aren't so great, and I don't think that makes power. So the Scorpion basically kills the attackers, and she leaves and he disappears. So the story is very cliche. The whole story is cliche. The whole comic is cliche. Everything in here is very cliche. Not to say that's a bad thing. It's just, it is what it is. Like there's no new story ideas really, except for maybe the Scorpion character himself, and well, even the backstory is pretty cliche. But anyway, she has the cops come to her hospital, and I think this really is a hospital in Portland. And so these guys are talking to her about the killer, and she says something about him being a superhero, and they're like talking about him being in tights and stuff. And one of the cops, this is one of the great details about Jim's writing, is that he's talking about, the cop is talking about, this guy does one good thing, but he's out there protecting citizens all the time, and he gets really kind of worked up. And the nurse is like, really, I'm sorry I said anything. And the other guys, then of course they're eating donuts, of course. But so it was nice little details there. Some of the powerishness, this scene here with the two cops is a little powery. Like I said, I think maybe it's mostly due to the inking, but it's pretty cool. It's got some nice depth here with the floor, and so the cops take off, and the nurses go and meet the new doctor, who you obviously is the Scorpion, because he first arrives and then he takes off, and it reads a lot like ER or something like that. I think Jim McNaughton probably watched a lot of what was before ER. There was another big medical show that was, but I can't remember. Anyway, I'm sure he watched a bunch of those, or just nighttime dramas, and that really sounds where he gets his writing thoughts or type of writing that he did. And so, like I said, the doctor has his beeper go off, and he has to take off, and it's probably just the Scorpion taking off and doing stuff. So, which actually is this, which I don't know, because the cops don't come. So how would he have the beeper know that there's trouble? Anyway, there's a store in the Portland again, which has like 30,000 people, 40,000 people, and there is a convenience store being robbed. And so, see, here's another panel that's great. And so they're being robbed, and they kill somebody, and there's a woman here who's pregnant, and that goes into the story because as they're robbing the place, this snake-like character joins the fray, and he actually is there for the pregnant woman. That somehow he was awakened, and he's some sort of either Aztec god or some sort of Native American deity, and so he takes control of the guys, the punks that are robbing the store, and makes them his like henchmen, his snake henchmen. He converts them into snakes, and which is pretty cool. So then obviously they go through this little ruckus where they talk about how her baby is going to be his body that he's going to inhabit. So that's why he chose her to go to and take. So he's going to try to take the baby, and it's going to be his new body. But before that can happen, and he gives her a good slap for good measure. And so he turns around, and there's a scorpion, and I guess they are age-old nemesis. So they have a nice little fight. This snake character and the scorpion, and he's given lots of quips like he does, like he's Spawn or Spider-Man, and they just battle out for like 3 or 4 or 5 pages, each giving good attacks and going back and forth. Like one of his snakes on his head bites a scorpion, but I guess the scorpion is immune to some of the venom and stuff, and the scorpion gets the better of him, and the other deity kind of just runs away, and that's how the issue ends. And here's a nice pinup of the scorpion by Elliot Brown, who I guess was the writer and artist of Punisher Armory. So I guess they were buddies. So yep, that's the scorpion. And here's a bunch of little Polyventura advertisements and things for the next Scorpion, and some comic book stores, and here's the letter from the publisher, and that's Jim McNaughton actually. So I guess he's publisher. I don't know if he was the publisher at Polyventura or whether he was just one of the creators that Polyventura worked with. Either way, Polyventura sucks. And so here's some more advertisements, and the cover. One of the things about the cover is nice gold leaf kind of. I don't know what you call it. I guess it would just be gold leaf paper. But yeah, like I said, the art is competent. There's spots of power and there's spots of really awesomeness. Oh, well, here's one of the things that I know if you have watched any of my videos that really irks me is those arrows. When the artist is using the narrative art and he can't go from panel to panel the way he wants because the arrow, like there's other ways to do this other than using the arrow. Like he could have made these panels smaller and this further over. He could have given the gutter or the borders more space so that your eye is drawn to this and then this and then this. You know, he could have cut the panels this way so that you know it's more in line. Anyway, it's there's a lot of different ways to do it, and I know sometimes you get stuck and you've already done stuff and you were like, oh man, that doesn't make sense, and then you have to use the arrow. But like I said, I'm not a big fan of the arrow, and I think it breaks immersion, and it's a fail. He does it again here, which I just don't know why he doesn't set up the panels where the big panel is on the left and the other two panels are on the right. You could still do the same story and artwork and narration. Here's another panel that I think is really fantastic. Him covering his eyes and the medicine man. He's like, doing his thing. This whole thing is really cool. It also is hard to read. You don't know which one to read because it's in a circular motion. When you're doing a comic like this, your lettering has to be so that you're kind of following your eye, especially this part here where it's a little crooked in this. It's just, it makes it so that you just don't know what to read and when. So, yep. And like I'm never gonna say it's bad, because I making comics is super hard, and there's no bad. It's just a little different, and maybe a little bit better, and a little more finesse or whatever. Like, I really like this panel here. Whenever he has people interacting, I think that's the strength of the artist, is because he gives it all of his panels depth and stuff when he's actually working, and he does know how to capture the reader's eye, like going here this way. But he has these little things that he does that kind of breaks it. Like, why have two panels the same size and then go up? You know, I mean, it's because, to me, you could go from left to right and then down, because these panels are kind of almost symbiotic and together, but that's not how it is. So I guess I just wouldn't have done it like this. So anyway, I like the art. There's like I said, there's a few places where I don't think it's as proficient as it could be, and could have been the inker, could have been just him working out his kinks. I don't know if he did any other Polly Ventura stuff or any artwork for any other comics. This scene, it looks very, very power. This whole this whole alleyway scene, and his perspective is a little off, and it's a little distracting at some points. Like, the bricks are going up this way when they should be parallel with the bottom and or top. So here's nice perspective. So it's a nice little book, and I'm glad I read it, and I'm glad I have it, and I don't know who it is. I don't think I've ever met Jim McNaughton or the artist. But again, it might be a power comic. It might not be. Let me know what you guys think. And if you like this kind of content and you'd like to see more of my videos, I have a bunch more videos of other comics. But if you like this kind of content, then please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell and giving me some comments too on these books. I know that there's a lot of people that enjoy them, and I think this was a good read. And my review of it, I'm going to give it a 7. I'm going to give it a 7 because the writing is really particularly in depth and has these little details that make it really believable. And the art has some really great points. He falters a few times with the narrative art, but overall, I really felt this was enjoyable. I like the cover. I wish this was in color. The black and white or the gold and black really kind of muddled things up a little bit. If this was black and white or color, I think this would be a lot better. I could see a spotlight going down on it. But anyway, tell me what you think. And here's The Scorpion, #1 by Ann Rule and Polly Ventura. And thanks for watching.